Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back, or welcome to another Bangs Audio review. Today, we've got a tale of two hybrids for you, starting with the Xinhs HS-01, which will be directly compared to and compete with the EPZ K5, previously reviewed, and my favorite $100-ish hybrid IEM. Both of these guys, the reason I picked them to comp is because they're both single DD 4BA sets, which can be treacherous around $100, even $150. You can run into some trouble. But then there are sets like the Nova, the Truth Ear Nova, which is very, very good, just a bit more expensive than these guys, and I think these guys both outperform the Nova. So we'll just start right there. Xinhs is a cable company first, kind of like, IVIPQ, for example, but they do make some IEMs as well. The HS-08, which is called the Blue Fairy, is something that I will delve into as well, because I do have that set loaned to me from my buddy, and this is also a loaner set from him. So let's get into unbox and specs, and then we'll do sonic impressions and graphs and comps and all that fun stuff. Pretty simple box, which is fine. You got an 8mm dynamic driver, then you've got 2 BAs for treble and 2 BAs for mid-high. Impedance is 32 ohms, sensitivity is 103 decibels. This is an important number here, because 32 ohms is a fair amount of impedance for IEMs, although not out of control, but the 103 decibels will come into play, especially when comparing it to the K5. All right, and frequency response 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. So there you go. Detachable 2-pin cable terminates in a 3.5. That's your standard cable. My buddy bought a few cables along with the IEMs from my buddy Swarzable, bought a few cables along with the IEMs from Xinhs, and so they threw in a free upgrade, not a free, but an upgraded cable for him, which you will see is an absolute beauty, but don't get excited because it's not the cable that comes with the set. I'll see if I can find that on AliExpress for you. Oh yeah, the innards of the box, I mean, just, it's an inside of a box. There you go. Everything came in the case. And the cases are oversized, and you can use that to throw in a dongle DAC or extra tips or little weed, whatever, whatever floats your boat. So included ear tips, a fair amount of sizes in normal bore silicone, and little cable management Velcro thing. I think I hate those, actually. I think I kind of hate them. They seem to get stuck on everything from my clothing to my chair to just, I don't like them. So anyway, little personal pet peeve there. I can live without them. The cable, well, we looked, but we could not find this sold separately. So this must be a special in-house cable. It is freaking gorgeous. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. If between the two of us, if we can find it, we'll I'll make sure to link it either in the community or in the description at some point. So there you go. You got your case. The case is nice. It's a standard case. It looks very similar to the IVIPQ cases. Do I have one to show you? Yep. So same sort of, wow, actually it's a little bit bigger. Maybe that's an optical illusion because of the colors, but they're pretty close. Oversized case. Do fit stuff that you might like. On the IEMs themselves, you'll see the faceplate is very similar to like the CK-LVX D41 and a Feaulle Performer or AFU Performer 5. These shells are a bit smaller though, so they were able to squeeze everything in there and make it a fairly compact, very comfortable shell. I'm a fan. These were very comfortable for long periods of time. I had no problem at all with the fit. No hot spots, no fatigue. Just really nice, really comfy. And I do like the faceplate, and you probably can't make it out, but it does say Xinhs on there as well in gold. Yeah, really cool. Feels like high grade, medical grade 3D printed resin. That's, our standard these days. Although the next set I'm going to do, the Yan, or YU9 Yan, is in my mailbox right now, so I have to go out and get that in a second, because I'm pretty excited for that one too. Anyway, as I mentioned, retail on this is about $100. I have seen it go as low as $80. Conversely, not conversely, same on the EPZ K5, retails $109. Seen it as low, got it myself for $95. So that one doesn't get as low as this, but they start out right around that same price, right around $100, $110. So I think it's a good comp. It's a good comp for sure. What to say about these? Oh yeah, the tips. The tips that I used were not the stock silicones. I did use combination of Divinus Velvet, normal bore, and the H570s, those latex tips, both of which worked extraordinarily well. They're similar in bore width and similar in comfort, and got a good seal on both. I don't know if I had to pick one over the other, I'd probably just say the H570s, because that's what I ended up having on them the longest. So yeah, I really like those tips. I'll link those again for you. They're not super expensive. They're on AliExpress, and they're so comfortable, and they sound really nice. On everything I've tried them on, they sound great. So anyway, yeah, the cable, I'm just going to put the cable away so we don't get jelly looking at it. God, that's a nice cable. Okay. All right, so here we are. Into Sonic Impressions and Graph, and then I'll whip out the K5 so we can take a look at those along with this, and I'll talk to you about what was the same-ish and what was very different. All right, so bringing up said graph, here we go. I'm going to turn my headlamp off so I don't get any reflection there. There you are. Okay, so first thing of note, in order to get my 84 to 84.2 decibel response for the graph, my system volume was at 32 out of 100. And that doesn't sound high, but it is. It's higher than normal. I'm usually in the 20s to get mid to upper 80s as far as the dB relative goes, or SPL goes. Yeah, so it was kind of oh, these are a little harder to drive, a little higher impedance at 32 ohms, a little bit lower on the sensitivity at 103 decibels. Basically, I just had to turn them up, and I had to turn them up for the graph too. But as you can see, sub bass, there's roll off, so sub bass fans are, probably not going to be super satisfied. But there is a nice amount of mid bass, and then it is a slight V shape with a mild ear gain, and then a nicely extended treble. It's a really nicely balanced set. I found that it was an all-rounder. I didn't have any issues listening to just about anything except for the very heaviest of metal, with things like Slaughter to Prevail and Archspire and Lamb of God and Meshuggah. I felt like that 8mm dynamic driver was working just a little bit hard, maybe picking up a slight hint of distortion on top of the already existing distortion, kind of working hard. It wasn't anything obvious or glaring. It just felt like it was working. It sounded like it was working kind of hard to get there, especially at higher volumes. So being that the set is not super sensitive, a little harder to drive, you don't have to listen at super high volumes to really get the performance out of it, I don't think. I think it's a nice lower volume set. It seems to be performs just fine. Some sets you really have to turn up to get their to get their full sort of picture, their full performance going. These guys seem to do well just about any volume. I tend to listen a little bit louder, I think, than most people do. That probably goes with the fact that I listen to a lot of metal, but you don't have to with this set. Let's just put it that way. You don't have to turn them up to get them, performing at their best. I found the soundstage to be quite impressive on these, like far better than I was expecting for $100 set. It's really like it's pretty immersive. It's pretty deep. Like I was just listening to it. I think I'm going to be in a Deftones mode for a while. I was just listening to Around the Fur, the album, and I kept like going, "Wow, these are just really heady." You know, they've got a big stage, and so if you like that kind of thing, which a lot of people do, and I do too, you're not going to be disappointed in the performance of these. Another thing of note, I feel like that's worth mentioning is that they don't suffer from like bad BA timbre. You don't have that sort of plasticky or too swishy sort of sound to them in the treble. I'm not saying they're the best BAs that I've ever heard, but they're better than a lot at this price point, which was another reason that I was impressed. So yeah, I mean, outside of maybe a little bit of lacking a little bit of sub bass, and maybe I wish there was just a little bit more mid bass. The way that the set is tuned makes sense for what it's got internally, and it is tuned in a very balanced way. Really, ooh, sorry, too bright. So yeah, they're easy recommend, especially if they're, and they should be, going to be on sale for $11.11. You might see them drop back towards that $80 mark. If you do, it's a no-brainer for $80. They're highly recommended for $80. I'd recommend them at $100 too, especially if you're into hybrids and you want a 1x4. That's really very high performing for its price. Yeah, they're a really nice set. I can see why my friend likes them so much. For me, as we shift gears again, for me personally, I like the EPZ K5 just a smidge better. And I will bring up the graph here so you can take a look at least take a look at the difference, because you can't hear them, unfortunately. Wouldn't that be nice if you could actually... Well, who's that guy that's got Glen Gane, I think, has that channel where he, like, you know, EQs things to mimic sets and compares them. That's kind of cool. I don't know how much I would, like, you know, decide whether I was going to buy a set or not on that, but it is pretty cool. I'll link his channel in the description too. Glen Gane Audio. Alright, so here, let me take out I'll take out the right channel on the Xinhs. So now we have the EPZ K5 is the higher curve here. And this is very interesting too. So the reading that I took, or the graph that I took, measurement I took on the Xinhs, the lower one, was at 32 master volume, 32 system volume. Okay. The graph of the EPZ K5, I had to drop the system volume to 16. 16 to get it to even come close to, like, sort of aligning with the Xinhs, with the HS-01. 16. That's how easy the K5 is to drive. And it does provide to me a little bit more of the bass that I want. The mids are a little bit warmer. It has a treble that it's got some energy to it. It doesn't extend nearly as far as the HS-01 does, but I'm not missing, like, you guys hear what 12, 14, 16K sounds like. It's nothing, you know, you're not missing much if you're not hearing it up here, because it drops off a bit. You know, the only advantage I will give to the Xinhs HS-01 is soundstage, and it's not even by that much, because the soundstage on the K5 is also very impressive. Very, very high, deep, wide. Very, very good, especially considering its price point. And they are both 1x4, right? 1DD, 4 BAs. The difference is, and I will double check myself on this, but I believe the designated driver, the dynamic driver on the K5, I believe, is a 10 millimeter, not an 8, which would account for having more mid-bass and a little bit more warmth there as well. K5 also does not suffer from BA timbre in the upper end of the frequency response. They're both just super solid sets. But personally, my personal preference, I'm going K5. But it's not by a lot. It's just by a little bit. It suits my preferences a little bit more than the HS-01 does. But as far as the HS-01 in general, like, bravo. Like, they really did a nice job with this set as kind of maybe an entry-ish level. It's hard to say $80 to $100 is entry level, but it might be for them. They may have some less expensive sets than this, but in fact they probably do. But I think it represents a really good introduction to a hybrid that has a single D and 4 BAs for a very reasonable price, as I've said. So yeah, for me it's the K5. But for you, if you want something just a little bit milder, a little bit more U and less V-shaped, that has really nice performance, detail retrieval, and soundstage, all of those catchwords that we look for, I think the HS-01 is a darn fine set. Really, really is. Anything special else? It's got, the techs are there. Yeah, it's not the warmest sound signature. I think the K5 is a little bit more musical too, but that would make sense based on the graph. But overall, just yeah, it's a heavy as far as value goes. And even though the Nova now is 120 pretty much every day of the week, if it were at its regular price, 150, and these guys were 100, what do you think I'm doing? All day long, I'm buying the HS-01. So, really nice job on Xinhs on this particular set. I can't speak to anything else because I haven't tried it yet. And I did not mean to rhyme, but I guess I do it all the time. So, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I got to go run out to the mailbox and grab that YU9 set because I'm really, really excited to try that one out. For now, full recommend. And highly recommended if you can get it on sale. Watch out, 11/11 is coming up in just 2 days. They're probably going to be on sale, or you can get like a coupon or coins, or maybe it's sale coupon coins. Maybe you get them down below 70. I mean, jeez, if you could do that, no hesitation. So, cool. All right, for now, be careful, be safe, be nice. Love y'all. Nothing but peace to you, and we will see you real soon.